incredible, so wonderful, named after your own daughter. Why would you shut that down and take the risk to move to eXp, not even knowing that a single agent might go with you? And I want to share with you the 3 reasons why I made that transition. And if you know any independent real estate brokerage owners, you might want to take notes. Because I guarantee you that no matter how good things are for them, no matter how successful they are, no matter how good it looks from the outside, there are some things that keep that broker awake at night. There are some problems an independent real estate broker cannot solve. And if you're aware of those, you can ask the right questions that leads them to the right answer to all their problems. And that answer is spelled in 3 letters, eXp. So here goes. Number 1, why did I transition from Abbey Realty over to eXp? Because it eliminated my financial risk and legal exposure as a broker owner. In our first 3 years, we had 3 E&O claims against us. 2 of them were completely bogus, and yet the E&O company didn't want to incur the cost of a legal defense, so they just settled automatically. They didn't even look into it. They made a payout. And so after 3 years, 3 payouts, they canceled us, and they threw us into a high-risk pool. Now, my E&O premium quintupled, and my per-claim deductible went from $1,000 to $50,000 per claim. Now, last year, we closed over 2,500 transactions. That's 5,000 transaction sides. You know what that means to a broker owner? 5,000 chances to get sued. And last year, there were 2 of those circulating through the system early on. And in both cases, it was a buyer suing a seller for failure to disclose structural defects in the home. Of course, the listing agent knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about it. But guess what? They got sued and I got sued because I'm Mr. Big Pockets. In the eye of these buyers, they always go after the broker. But what you may not know, and you need to know this, is that non-disclosure is considered a willful act. It's fraud, and therefore it is not covered by E&O insurance. It's not an error. It's not an omission. It's considered a criminal act. And so all the costs of defense, the hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees, and if there was a judgment, and they were seeking, both of them, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if only one of those had been a worst case outcome, it would have crippled me financially. If there had been 2 or more, it would have wiped us out. Not only would have jeopardized Mary and I's financial future, but the livelihoods of the 472 families who were dependent on our brokerage being an ongoing concern. So last July, when my good buddy Adam Olson called me and asked my advice on another issue, I turned the tables on him. 3 months earlier, he had converted his independent brokerage over to eXp. So I started asking him questions about his new alignment. He didn't answer those questions. Instead, he said, well, why don't we get together over lunch and talk about it? I showed up to that lunch, and he brought another friend, Andrew Franklin, with him. He did a surprise 3-way on me. And so over chicken fried steak, we talked for an hour and a half. And at the end of that time, I knew eXp would solve my problem of financial liability and legal exposure. But there was another problem I had that I had not been able to solve, and that was a succession plan. Now, as I stand before you right now, I'm strong, healthy, energized. I'm looking forward to years and years of productive labor ahead of me. But someday I may want to step away and chase grandkids full time. Or God forbid I get hit by a bus. What's going to happen to the company? What's going to happen to Mary? What's going to happen to our children? And I could not solve that problem. And I know there's ways to solve it. Everyone says, well, just sell the company. And yes, I had offers from big box franchises and other independent owners. But do you know all those purchase contracts have a retention clause? If the agents don't stay, the company doesn't pay. And I knew that my agents wouldn't stay if I left. Many of them joined because of me, my passion to help them, the fact that I saw it not as a job, but a mission and a ministry and a calling. I cared about them. I started the company for them. And I knew if I signed one of those contracts, my financial future would be in jeopardy. Of course, I could have just hired a manager, right? And taken the profits every year to support our family through the years of retirement. But I think you know as well as I do that there is often a big gap in commitment and talent between an owner and a manager. And that's not always the case. I know that in this room there's probably some managers who exceed and excel the skills and commitment level of their owners. But that's a rare person. And as I looked around my world, I didn't have anybody that I would feel comfortable handing the keys to my company to. I did not have a succession plan. But when I heard about the retention tools at eXp, the light bulb went off. Are you kidding me? An icon agent? Would they ever leave eXp? Could they possibly leave? Or even a mid-level producer after a couple years. Now they got some revenue share going on. They got some stock ownership in the company. And it may not be a huge amount of money, but who else is going to give that to them? It subsidizes their cost of affiliation and drives it below the cheapest discount broker you'll find anywhere.
Come on. Yeah.
I knew if I can get my agents to come with me, my retention problem was solved. My succession plan problem was solved. And at some point I could ride off into the sunset and my income would not only be secure and stable for all the years of retirement, but because of the leverage built into the exponential eXp plan, it would actually grow over time. Where else can you get that?
Yeah.
I left that lunch with Adam and Andrew knowing that alignment with eXp solved my two biggest problems as an independent brokerage owner. But I would never have left. I would never have transitioned if it had just solved my problems. Remember, I started Abbey Realty not for me, but for those agents. It had to be an incredible value for them in order for me to make the switch. So at the end of that lunch, I promised Adam and Andrew, I'm going to enter a due diligence period. I'm going to see what eXp does for agents. And honestly, I was skeptical because my commitment had always been to provide the absolute best to my agents. If there was anything better in terms of tools, technology, training, I told my agents, you tell me, you'll have it tomorrow. I'm going to give you the best of everything there is. But when I started looking at eXp, oh my goodness. Let me just say I was overwhelmed. They've got a relocation department. They've got an iBuyer program. They've got rev share. They've got ownership. Doggone it, they got health insurance. It just went on and on and on. And these were things I could never, ever have provided as an independent brokerage owner. I couldn't carve up my company into 472 pieces and hand it out. It just was impossible. And believe me when I say that when I came to that understanding that the eXp value proposition to my agents was better than what I could give them, I felt like I had a moral obligation to tell them about it.
Amen.
If I really meant what I said, that I loved them and I cared about them and I put their interests first, I could no longer keep it a secret. So in November, I took my 25 top producers to eXpCon in Las Vegas because I wanted them to see it for themselves. And I have to say it was an incredible experience. Jason and Glenn even took time to meet with our team. And of course, they're geniuses. We all know that. But it was more than that. They were kind, humble, gracious, hospitable. And at the end of that week, every one of my 25 top producers said, Frank, we're in. We have to do this. How soon can we transition? So a couple weeks later, November 19th, I stood up at our 4-year anniversary party and I said, guys, here we go. Here we go. This is our last party. I'm shutting down Abbey Realty. We're going to eXp Realty, and I'm inviting all of you to go with me. Now, very quickly, I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to tell you, it wasn't all cheers and hoorahs, because somebody else had plans for that day. And after I spoke and our eXp luminary spoke, my director of operations got up and started aggressively questioning our eXp guests. And before I knew it, she was hysterically screaming that our eXp guests were lying, and that I was lying, and that all of our agents would be better off going with her because she had started her own company. And her value proposition was, Frank's asking you to pay more money to go to eXp. I'm asking you to pay less to go with me. And she'd already opened her company, rented space a couple blocks from my office. Now I'm telling you, we can be real, right? I can tell you what happened. It hurt us. 100 agents went with her. 200 others were so confused and disturbed by it, they scattered to the winds. And when it was all said and done, I had 160 agents still standing with me. Now, to be clear, those 160 agents accounted for 75 to 80% of our production.
There you go.
They are our top producers. There are visionaries. There are business-minded, forward-focused agents. And in the 2 months since we have completed this transition, I'm telling you, they are more fired up than ever. In fact, 50 of them have joined my EWOX Club, Exponential Wealth Opportunity Club, and we're meeting every single month to help each one of us create this massive rev share organization. In fact, Gene, I want to publicly say that I accept your challenge to be one of the 1,000 eXp agents who each change lives and generational destinies by attracting at least 1,000 more agents into the eXp family. And I want you to know, Gene, in fact, all of you, I want you to know this. For me, this will not just be a job. It will not just be an exciting challenge. It will not just be an incredible financial opportunity, but it is a mission, a ministry, and a calling.